1 second. So hi everyone, my name is Nilesh Mathure. I'm one of the co-founders of SaaS Tribe, a community and platform we run for discussing everything related to SaaS tools, lifetime deals. And I'm joined here by the team at Gyana and my co-founder, Ween Perini. So David, we'll start with you. Why don't you give an introduction and then we'll go around. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Thank you very much, Nilesh. It's really nice to be here today and to be able to present to you all. Thank you very much for having us. So I'll just speak briefly, and then I want to hand over. No worries. So I'll talk a little bit about Guyana and why we're doing what we're doing, and then I'm going to, I think, hand over to Lorraine and Pritesh to show you a little bit more about the tool and what you can do with it. So very briefly, I'm David. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Guyana. This is all I've ever done in as far as work goes. Been doing it for the last 6 years. Since I dropped out of my PhD. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this. I mean, back when I was doing science and my PhD, I kind of saw that everyone was held back. And this is just in the scientific community. You'd actually be really surprised how much everyone is held back by a lack of good data and tools to work with data. It's actually, I'd almost say that it's sad, and I found it very frustrating. And then I also went into the business world as well. When we co-founded this company, when I dropped out of Oxford, I saw the same thing was true, that lack of good data, lack of good data tools is just holding everyone back, and everyone's just very frustrated, and we're all just banging our heads against walls. We can't make good decisions. We can't do the sensible things that would drive our business forward, and we keep making mistakes and spending money on things that don't work because we just don't have the tooling and the data. So I just personally see that as a big, it's something that we want to improve because it's going to make all our lives better. So that kind of led us to, we want to build, I guess I would say we want to build an all-in-one tool that solves this problem. And we've been on quite a journey to get there. Like, I'm sure there are a lot of other founders watching, and you know what I mean when I say that it's been a weird journey with lots of failures and lots of discoveries, lots of learnings. But I think where we've got to today is a really good place. We finally have a tool that is pretty mature, and it solves the core data problems that most small businesses are struggling with. And at the moment, we're really focusing on, especially it tends to be around marketing data, although there are lots of other use cases as well. And it also tends to be focused on agencies and consultancies, just because I think that you are the people who are working with data most often. You feel this pain most often. But in the long term, we want it to be much more general than that. And the key idea is being able to connect to all of your data wherever it is. being able to do stuff with that data, not just visualizing it, but also writing business logic and doing transformations and creating statistics and running analyses that you create, and then being able to display that and share it with clients in a really intuitive way. And that's currently the core value proposition of the platform. And we're going to see a real flow as an example of that. I also want to say that in a longer term, getting involved with Guyana, getting involved with the LTD will bring you into a journey where we're looking at something much bigger than that. We're really talking about predictive analytics, being able to use AI in your workflow, being able to create data apps that you can share in your company. And for us, the long-term vision is to be the single data platform, all you need, which is very ambitious, but that's how we like to do things here at Gyana. So that's my story. I don't know, Nilesh, I'll hand it back to you and let's see where you want to go with this.
Excellent, David. Thank you for that introduction and a brief summary as well, like some background. It's always very important to understand, what led you to founding Gyana, right? So, why don't you give an introduction, and then we'll move on to Lorraine, Pritesh, and we have a lot to talk about. I think we have a post already there. I'm just going to tag and get a few people going because we had a lot of interest in Gyana. So, Wayne, why don't you start, and then we'll move to Lorraine.
Yeah, hi David and Lorraine and Pritesh. Nice to see you here. I was really excited when Nilesh told me that you guys are going to be on. I don't usually wake up at 2:30 in the morning to jump on a podcast. This is one of the exceptions that I made because I was so excited about what you guys are doing. So yeah, my background is I was trained as a chemical engineer. I also did research. I've got a thesis out there somewhere in thin layer drying of heat and mass transfer and all of that good stuff. And I kind of get what you're talking about when it comes to data, because back in the day when we were forced to arm wrestle with tools like MATLAB and things like that, It was quite horrible. So it turns out that a lot of what I do right now is to do with data piping and Google Tag Manager and Google Analytics and BigQuery. I think we're getting a bit of bounce back on the audio there, Nilesh. So this what you're talking about today is really on point with my current interests, and especially with what's happened recently with iOS 14 and the death of the third-party cookie and people having problems with attribution and trying to get data from one place to another. And so there's a real interest, even from sectors of businesses that typically wouldn't be interested in this nerdy stuff. So one of the things that's really surprised me about everything that's kind of transpired in the last 6 months is, people that wouldn't normally be interested in data science, that's because that's the actual term for it, are now getting interested in it. And the reason why is because the ad campaigns are now 2 or 3 times more expensive because the data that they're getting is misleading, it's broken, and they're not able to attribute their ad campaigns properly. And as a result, there's so much money being wasted right now. And so this is a big opportunity for anyone who can help with that. And obviously your product goes a lot broader than that. And I know that something like Gyana can be used for much wider applications than just marketing. But I see that there's an enormous call for anyone who's able to make that easy and help people to join all of the first party data together. So you got on one side, you got people hitting your website, you got your usual web analytics, you've got people who are purchasing things in their Shopify store, you've got people who are using lead gen tools and having that data end up in a CRM, and then you have ad data, and you have advertising and campaigns that are costing you money. And all of this data is siloed, and you have no real idea what's actually going on because none of that data talks to each other. So I'm excited because suddenly you can do that, and just as a bit of context for the people listening, and it's probably a bit early to be talking about this in the conversation, but at some point, I want to kind of talk about, can the people here who are driving ads, can they use it to replace products like Highrise, like Wicked Reports, like Supermetrics, like Segmetrics? Because these will be the tools that some of these guys are using currently. Anyway, so that's enough from me. Thanks, and
all right.
I'll pass it on to the others.
Okay, great. Wayne, thank you. So, Lauren, why don't you give a brief introduction about yourself? What's your role at Gyana? And then we'll move on to Pritesh.
Lovely. Thank you so much for having me. So my role within the company is focused on customer success. So that focuses on the client side of things, and as well as supporting the team with analytics from the users aspect, and then also supporting the users themselves within the tool. So I've been in the company now for about 6 months. And I'm really enjoying working in such a young company as well. So my previous background, I worked in data analytics for an automotive consultancy. I was placed at Ford, so I worked alongside engineers, kind of essentially helping them with their data and solving the problem that we're trying to solve, which is enabling people to have that power over their data. So essentially, I was the human form of that, and Guyana is hopefully going to replace that, essentially.
Okay, great. I think we're already receiving some comments, and that's a compliment for you, Lauren. So it says Lauren was great with the walkthrough. So there you go. That's great.
I think Lauren's underplaying herself. She's also the kind of key driver of a great Facebook community that we have. So all of our LTD purchasers and buyers are part of that, and she runs that.
Yeah, that's great. And feel free to post a link to your Facebook community as well in during the live or after the live as well, so that people can get a more in-depth interaction going on in your community as well. So, but okay, that's great. We have one other comment here. Lauren has been the godsend community. So that's awesome. Great. Why don't we move on to you, Pritesh? I'm sure I'm not sure. I haven't seen you in your interaction in the community, but I'm sure you interact on Facebook as well with all the users and people know you, right? So yeah.
Yeah, I've not been part of this community, but I do post every now and then in our Facebook group. So I definitely recommend everyone to check it out. You can find me there. But yeah, I'm Pritesh. I'm the product manager at Gyana. So I essentially make sure that we're building the right thing for the right people. And a bit about my history. I did a stats degree at university, so that's where I was first exposed to data, and I first learned R as well. So that was a really interesting experience, and just saw the clunkiness and some of the problems that other people face working with data there. And I've been kind of in this startup world since then. So I created an app which unfortunately failed, and then I joined an investment research startup. And thereafter, I joined Gyana as a bit of a generalist early last year, and then moved into the product manager role at the beginning of 2021. So it's been an interesting journey, and it's been really fun. We're really a vibrant set of people, and we're really mission driven. So it's been a lot of fun working with everyone here. So yeah, that's me.
Wow, that's great. Thank you, Pritesh. And so I think we already have a few folks tuned in live, and we have a set of questions. And Wayne, why don't you start, and then we can take it away. We'll do a mix from on our end, as well as what David, Lauren, and Pritesh want to cover from, and what they want to share, and then we can move on to some of the audience questions as well, right? So.
Okay, cool. And I think David already kind of touched on this, but let's kind of start off with the, why is everyone tuning into this today? So I think a great kind of way to give this some context is, why is data analytics and data science so important, and particularly how what makes Guyana valuable within that context.
Yeah. Before you answer that, I love the choice of the word Gyana. I mean, being of background, so I really love the word.
It's cool. Clever.
Great, very clever choice, and it's a one word, very meaningful. So, great choice, by the way.
Good.
Yeah,
good.
Yeah.
Naming things is hard.
Yeah, it is extremely hard, and finding a relevant name is even harder. So there you go. Yeah.
I'll take this. So firstly, I mean, I think it's actually a really good question because everyone knows that data is important. We all know that, like, why are Google and Facebook and Amazon doing so well? It's because they have data, and they have, huge amounts of data on everyone. Like, we kind of all know that, but like, what is it that actually makes data so valuable? And I think there are different things you could do with data. I think that probably one thing is that it allows you to just make better decisions, and it helps you to avoid doing things that aren't going to work. And once you start really, and sometimes it can be difficult to do that because we all have like very strong opinions on what we think is going to work. Like, you call it your gut feeling, and a lot of the criticisms of like how companies are, like a lot of companies are run nowadays, we say, everything's just gut feeling driven. But actually, when you do feel really strongly about something, it's difficult. I don't know. Sometimes it's difficult for someone to convince you otherwise. But the great thing about data is that it's true. I mean, of course, there's lots of subtlety there because sometimes if you're not very careful about where you get your data from, it tells you things that are wrong. So there's that whole dimension to it. But if you can, and that's why people who try it and then they get burned because the data was bad data. But if you can really get it right, it allows you to really know what's going on and make really high quality decisions. I think that's probably the most important thing. That's what business is about at the end of the day. It's about being able to build a strategy that it's really going to work, and then actually executing on it. For me, that's what business is. Those two things. So if you and data is the thing that actually allows you to make a good strategy. But then on top of it, you can also use data to automate processes as well, especially using ML and AI to completely create entire experiences that appear to the user to be intelligent and yet require no human intervention. But I think, and that stuff's great as well. The thing that I always think is important to remind is that it's kind of a hierarchy. So everyone gets excited about the AI and the ML stuff, and that stuff's great. And don't get me wrong, like, it's very powerful, but it doesn't work unless you've got the stuff lower down right. And we like to think of it as the data analytics hierarchy of needs. So just like you have Maslow's hierarchy, which I guess many of you have come across, which is like, it's great to have lots of friends and stuff, but if you don't have enough food and shelter, you're not really going to care about it, right? So there's we have these needs, and then only once we've got these needs done can the next needs happen. And so you don't worry about self-actualization if you're still worrying about how much food you have to eat. And the same thing's true for data analytics, that it's only when you've got high quality data can you start to think about doing analytics. And only when your analytics are reliable can you start to do like statistical stuff. And only when your statistics are really reliable. So it's kind of those levels. So the most fundamental, and right at the bottom, I think the most fundamental thing data analytics is valuable for is just having that information. And that's why, as a product, we've been around for a few years. We've tried many different things, and we realized that as much as everyone's talking about ML, what people actually need and what we actually really need is just high quality data that's reliable and that we can trust. That's the foundation that you want, and I think that's the most important thing you can get from data. Which is a bit of a boring answer, but I think that's the truth.
Yeah, I think there's so many ways you can answer that. So can I just kind of like rephrase some of what I heard? So so first of all, you got to be able to get good data, right? So there's a process in that. Yeah. So we need to be able to hook up to one source and another source and another source, and then not only do we need to be able to get that data, we need to be able to clean that data up and get rid of the junk, and then say, okay, this portion of the data is actually meaningful, and the rest of it is just confusing and noisy. So let's remove that. That's kind of some of what I'm hearing. When you talk about Maslow's hierarchy, I think that's a great way of putting it. First of all, you've got to get good, meaningful data, and a good example of that is going back to the marketing analogy, because a lot of the people that are going to be watching this are going to be keenly aware of their marketing. If you're relying on the conversion statistics of your Facebook ads as an example, well, now that's kind of somewhat broken and you can't make decisions on that. So that's a great example. So if you were to be looking at any kind of sales and revenue data, then you better be getting as close to the source as possible. So that should either be Shopify or WooCommerce or whatever shopping cart that you're using. You need to be looking directly at that data and know that that particular conversion or sale came from a specific ad or campaign. That kind of knowledge is key. And so up until recently, we've had the luxury of being able to rely pretty heavily on the data that Facebook and Google gives us. But now we can't rely upon that because that, like you say, the data is misleading and you can't make decisions upon that.
Yeah. I mean, another thing it reminds me of is it's like a lot of, so one of the things that Gyana does is it replaces a lot of manual workflows and automates them. So like previously you might have been manually every week going to Facebook ads, let's say, and downloading a CSV and then putting it into Google Sheets. And one of the reasons that's good is because, it's just boring having to repeat that. But I think more important is the fact that when you do it manually, you make mistakes. And I'm sure we've all been there where we see some data and it seems to say something and we might even believe it for a few days. And then we find out there was just a mistake, like someone copied and pasted the wrong thing or like they forgot to, I don't know, whatever it is. And when that happens many times, it just erodes your trust in the data. And if your trust is eroded in data, it becomes useless because you can't do anything with it. So it's really important, that you can trust where the data comes from and you can feel like really, you can feel confident that what it's saying is actually reflective of what's really going on.
Right.
I think that's especially true in like, if you're an agency or something, because especially when it comes to showing results to your clients, trust is so important. If they cannot trust that the results and the data they're showing you are reliable, then it just completely can destroy the relationship. So that's why it's so important.
We've got a ton of questions here. And the challenge for us is going to be feeding them to you in a way that is not overwhelming. Because, I'm trying to filter what I'm saying because I'm so excited about, everything that you guys can offer. So we'll do our best to kind of try and keep it simple. But okay, so let's just go. Let's turn it, let's just do this and we'll try and kind of make it into a semblance of something. But can you connect Guyana via API? Can I connect to the data in Guyana and do things with it? Like, for instance, if I'm building an application and I'm trying to automate other workflows besides data analytics, can I connect this data to other things that I'm doing outside of analytics?
Or to rephrase the question, right? So Gyana is using Fivetran for ETL, right? So basically, are you using Fivetran like as a two-way, like to get the data into Gyana and then you can extract it back? Or it would just be like a one-way, you analyze the data?
Pritesh, you want to answer that?
Yeah, sure. At the moment, it is just one way, but I can imagine in the future we do want to have that two-way conversation between the data and Gyana. So yeah, there's just a lot of use cases that makes ideally we want to replace these manual tasks, and if we can talk with the data two ways, then again we get that one step closer to automating a lot more of that workflow that a potential, say, marketing agency might have. So yeah, definitely that is something that we do want to involve. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Gyana isn't. I think you're also hinting at us being programmable, right? Like having APIs, which isn't possible yet. So you still have everything's done by the UI because we still think that's the most important thing. But I think in the long term, yes, we want to be programmable. That makes sense. It totally makes sense. And almost we could be a platform where you could build other things on top. So we become like a developer tool for you.
Yeah.
But now we're talking, year or two away because that's very ambitious.
And when you say developer tool, like, is it like from an ease of use perspective? Have you built it around where do you need some level of data analytics knowledge, or really, somebody with very little coding background can go and, because with no code platforms, everybody wants to say that they are no code, and turns out that you need some level of knowledge, right? So how is Gyana different? Is it really no code? And do you need any type of technical aptitude? Probably yes, but knowledge as well around, yeah.
I'm happy to take this one. So within our tool, understanding things such as Excel and Google Sheets, I think would probably be like the most you'd need to know in order to utilize the tool, simply because of understanding how to clean data. But essentially, the tool is geared towards people with a no code background. So we want to be able to kind of open up the ability of understanding your data, analyzing it, and you shouldn't need to have any sort of kind of data background in order to carry it through.
Yeah, I think that's really nice. I think if you can understand Excel and possibly Data Studio, I think you're fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great.
Does it connect with Data Studio? Or can you connect it with Data Studio if you wanted to? Or do you use your own dashboard system?
We have our own dashboard system, so you can connect to Google Analytics and utilize our tool.
Yeah. Ideally, we see ourselves almost in the future, hopefully, as a replacement to Google Data Studio.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Okay.
You can always say that like this is a simplification, but if our product's kind of like Supermetrics plus Data Studio plus, I guess the transformation stuff is a little bit like BigQuery. So it's like those three things all together. But it's wrapped in a nice UI and no code. I don't know if that helped.
That's amazing. You've just kind of like whipped out like three of the biggest buzzwords you possibly could have. Like that's all of these big things. It's all of them.
Well, I think it's interesting you brought up BigQuery, because I think the fact that we're expecting marketers to start. I mean, I love BigQuery; it's an incredible piece of technology, but I don't really expect everyone to use it. It's not. It shouldn't be like that. So, in many, like I like to think that we're basically taking like everyone's telling you, you need to if you want to be good at marketing, you need to learn BigQuery, and it's like, no, you don't. We're going to take BigQuery and all those things and put it in a nice box so that we can. You don't have to worry about that. We'll take care of that for you. So that's kind of the thinking.
Right. You don't have to know any SQL.
No SQL, no, but you can do anything you can do with SQL, so that's very important in our products.
Oh, you can use SQL in your system as well if you wanted to.
You can't use SQL, but the no-code editor that we have, you can do anything that you could do in SQL. I mean, with a few caveats, but basically anything.
Okay.
No, that's cool.
So
can you stream data in real time? I know that you were mentioning uploading spreadsheets and importing spreadsheets. Can you also stream your data in real time? I think you mentioned that already, but I can't be clear about that.
No. We're doing real time is like itself very difficult to do. So we're just focusing on historical data. So within maybe the last couple of hours, that kind of latency.
Okay. Oh, but so. But you can stream the data. You don't have to upload it manually.
Yeah. You can sync a Google Sheet, and then when you add more data to the Google Sheet, you just go back and press the button again, and it syncs the latest data in. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. If you can you use could you integrate this with a website somehow, or does it need to be a spreadsheet? Like, can you get hits off your website, or is that what kind of connections can you do at the moment?
So we
I think
I don't think we'd be able to connect to a website at the moment, but we do have things like a Shopify connector or a SQL database. Is that?
Yeah, I think kind of interested in. Sorry, carry on.
I was going to say we have Google Analytics, right, which I think would give you what you want.
Yeah, Google Analytics gives you some data. You've got a connection to Shopify, so you can get data from there too. I think you're mentioning Facebook ads. Do you have a connection with Facebook ads at the moment?
Yeah, so I think because you're using Fivetran, eventually you would be supporting pretty much all the connectors, or most of them they would support, right? I mean, I'm not sure if there is any additional cost involved per connector and things of that nature, and what is part of the LTD plan. But basically, my understanding would be whatever Fivetran is supporting, you would end up supporting eventually. It's just a matter of using their API and building the connector on your end, right?
Yeah, that's 100% right. Yeah. So we've got the 2025 most popular ones, including all the social ads, Google Analytics, Shopify. I don't know if WooCommerce is in yet, but we plan to have that, a bunch of different popular databases. The idea is to get up, like I say, we've got Fivetran backing us. We decided not to build that kind of thing ourselves. It's just that in itself, the whole business is very hard to do well. Fivetran did a really good job. So they've got 150 at the moment, and the only thing that's really stopping us is that as soon as we add them, we know people start asking questions, and let's say we put Optimizely, and I've never used Optimizely, so I wouldn't. But we've got Pritesh has put together a nice little like voting board. So if you want an integration added, just put it on there, and we'll probably add it quickly. And then I guess if it's not in the 150, we'd probably recommend that you use a different tool like Zapier to dump it into a Google Sheet, and then you can just sync the Google Sheet with Gyana. So that's the kind of escape hatch for all the other integrations. Like, because we know that if you've got like 10 integrations and we only do 8 of them, then that's going to be really frustrating, because what do you do about the other 2? So we know that we have to cover all the integrations, and that's a big focus for us.
So you do cover Facebook ads at the moment, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes.
But you don't have Google ads at this stage. Is that?
We have Google ads as well.
Oh, you got Google ads. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the 2 big ones. So
yeah,
I think that'll be like 90% of people's situations. So okay, so you're saying that Gyana can, for those people who are using some kind of data warehouse like BigQuery, Gyana now takes the place of that. So people would be warehousing their data in Gyana.
Yes.
And could you theoretically, how do I put this? Can I track customer lifetime value down to the user level? Is that possible to do with Gyana? Like if I came up with a way of creating a unique user ID, and I was able to apply that to a user, could I then, over time, somehow create a report that was able to query the different types of purchases and visits that same user did throughout my system? Yeah, that's a really powerful feature if we're able to do that. Another marketing question for you. Apologize that these are all hyper marketing focused. That's kind of my.
It's fine. We're very marketing focused, and we know that that's the main use case right now. So it's perfect. It's really.
Okay, cool. So another question from a marketing perspective and attribution is, I know that UTMs aren't 100% reliable now with some of the things that iOS and Safari are doing with stripping out UTMs, but I found workarounds for that. So if you're able to pass some kind of, let's say UTMs through for your data, so if you've got a link for those people who don't know what UTMs are, and you attach a little question mark, UTM underscore source equals, let's say, SEO or whatever it is that your source of traffic is. Can we, similar question to the one before, can we use those to create reports in your system to be able to join together data from, let's say, Shopify and Facebook ads and other data sources in order to know whether or not those campaigns were profitable or not?
Yes, I think the short answer is yes. So what you would do is you would connect all your sources. I'm going to talk of this from the perspective of our 2.0 version, and we can get into what that means. But we have three big sections, which is integrations, workflows, and dashboards. So integrations, you would connect in your Shopify, your Facebook ads with all your custom UTM stuff, whatever it is. Then the workflows section, that's kind of you doing your BigQuery stuff. So you would create workflows that would join together different data sets and calculate CLTV metrics, things like that. And then in the dashboard sections, you just create a dashboard and display those, and you can monitor them over time. So that's exactly. So I love that use case. Yeah, it's perfect use case. I love it. Yeah, very nice, very nice.
Awesome. And I think you just answered my next question, which is being able to show reporting and create custom reporting. Thanks.
When can we address some comments and then
yeah. Your turn, Nilesh. I think
yeah, thank you, thanks, because we have a few questions from the community as well. So there's a question here: when is 2.0 getting released? Do you have an approximate time frame?
David, do you want to cover that? I can.
Okay, you can't be honest. Let me turn this way. Yes. So I don't want to commit to dates, but first week of September is pretty concrete now.
Okay.
And we're gonna have a release date in the next couple of days, and we're gonna do a little countdown for it. And just to be clear, anyone who's on the LTD for the current version automatically gets upgraded, so no worries about that.
Okay, great. So thanks, Raj, for asking that. I hope you got your query answered. Then we have a question from Laura Lisa. It's more of a comment, I would say. So many of us in this community have access to tons of data with our own businesses, but just haven't thought to look for it. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have tons of data, and if you analyze it, then you can make better decisions. But there wasn't. There are certain things which can give you reports and things like that, but we haven't seen anything like this on AppSumo as far as Gyana is concerned. It's very unique, and it's a very well thought of platform, and you just got funding as well very recently. So seems like a great team. So Laura, I hope you can check out Gyana. And David, can you comment around how long is Gyana going to be available on AppSumo for? Is there a timeline when you want to end your campaign and things of that nature?
Yeah, so I have to say, we love AppSumo. I think what they're doing is really special for companies like us, because it's giving us the ability to, reach out and meet so many customers without having to be experts in marketing. At the end of the day, we're good at data, but we're not really great at marketing. So we really like it. We've loved the people we've met. We love doing these things. So I don't really see. So where am I going with this? So at the moment we're on the normal AppSumo marketplace. We're actually about to get promoted to AppSumo Select. So that's going to happen in the next month or so. Once we get promoted to Select, I suspect the deal will be less good because it's a more mature product. So it makes sense, right? That the deal wouldn't be as good. And then we'll be on Select, and we'll see how it goes. If it goes well, we'll stay probably for a while because it's just working out really well for us. We do eventually plan to focus more on subscription revenue. I mean, we're a SaaS product. That's our long-term plan. But your lifetime deal will always work. Don't have to worry about that. We're not going to be stingy or messy around. And you can always get the lifetime deal now, maybe with a couple of codes, and then in the future, if it turns out that you actually need more data usage, you can just pay a little bit extra on the SaaS, and then so there's always that ability as well. I can't commit to an exact timeline. Probably if AppSumo goes Select goes well, we could be on 6 months or maybe longer, but I don't know.
Okay. So thanks, David. We have a few more comments here. When Win gets excited, my wife gets upset because I'm about to buy another tool. So that's Joe.
Sorry to your wife.
Joe, that's funny. How is it compared to Amazon Quicksite, as BI team is currently using Quicksite? Please help. So who is that from? That's from Prajwal. So can you comment a little bit around how is it compared to Amazon Quicksite?
Yeah, I'll take this one. So, I mean, you could probably replace Quicksite with like a bunch of other tools. I think the same answer would be there. So Tableau, ClickView, Spotfire. They all kind of do the same thing in different ways, but but they're all BI tools, right? So at the end of the day, they connect to your data warehouse and they let non-technical people build charts and visualizations. I'm not trying to downplay what they do. They're all quite impressive in their own ways, and they'll have like various trade-offs, but that's fundamentally what they're trying to do. Our vision is more, we are, I guess our scope is a bit bigger than that. The problem with all BI tools is that they're kind of limited on what you can do. Like in SQL speak, you can basically just like aggregate by some variable and then calculate some statistics and then put it in a chart. That's kind of it, right? You can't do like more advanced flows. The tool that we're probably close, the tool actually that I think that we're probably a bit close is like it's very enterprise focused. Up until recently, it only works on Windows, but it's a more powerful data analytics tool that's aimed at more like data scientists and people. But it's it's really expensive. Like the cheapest license is like £20,000 per annum, and it's really focused at the enterprise market, but it's about giving non-technical people access to more powerful tools, not just the ability to make charts and visualizations. So that's what Gyana is like. Another way of thinking about it, something like Quicksite is like the technical team going, okay, you can do some of your own stuff, right? But we're still responsible for all of like the data warehouse and everything. But if you want, you can make some charts and visualizations. Where with Gyana, it's like you can do everything. You don't need you don't need to hire a data engineer anymore. You don't need to be depending on this grumpy data engineer who never gives you what you want. You're in control now. You can bring the data in from where you want. You have your own little managed data warehouse. You can build your own data workflows, and I think that's the big difference. And the other, of course, being that Amazon Quicksite, for example, they're all quite expensive, I think, compared to Gyana. They're aimed at larger companies. All these tools were designed because only larger companies really wanted to do this kind of analytics, so they're all quite expensive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there like
listening? Sorry, Nilesh.
No, you go.
Carry on.
You go, Vin.
One of the things that I've kind of discovered, kind of stumbling, almost blindly into this whole space, is just how expensive everything is. Like you're talking about Tableau and Looker and Nime and Click, and oh my God, it's like just for one license, it's like thousands of dollars per month. Yeah. So if you guys are able to create a product like this and offer it for, I don't know, whatever it is on AppSumo, it's just mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing.
Yeah. The price, I mean, those prices, they're just driven by the fact that it's enterprise, and enterprise, you just charge way, way more money. That's how it works. But yeah, it doesn't need to be like that, and it shouldn't be like that.
Yeah. I agree, Sorry.
So in terms of analytics, right? I mean, there are a lot of generic tools. So, Tableau, for example, you can analyze data from anywhere. And there are certain very niche kind of tools, right? So I'm like, my background is like we design and work with a lot of contact centers, enterprise contact centers. You have a lot of data to which you need to analyze. A lot of our customers actually use Tableau, like for sure. And then we also work on Twilio N, which has a very high-end contact center offering called Twilio Flex. They recently acquired a company about 2 years ago called Vitica. So that's an analytics company which is focused around contact centers. So you basically drag and drop your data, and then you can find particular things around your KPIs, real data where you can make decisions. and it's basically drag and drop, or this you choose the field and it will show you how your data correlates to talk time versus something else related to a deal closing or anything. Do you have any plans to do any type of drag and drop type of ease, like from an ease of use perspective, like anything around what Win mentioned, like marketing data, only specific platforms? Maybe it will be very hard to cover, but do you have any plan to do something similar where users can literally take that data, drop it, and be able to see all their KPIs, some of the key metrics, very, like focused in terms of what they can do now with their data? Right? Do you have any plans to do that?
Yes. I think maybe Pritesh should elaborate on this, but I think for me, the perfect experience would be you connect to your Google Ads, and then we just build you the world's best Google Ads dashboard, because we've spent a lot of time thinking about it. And then you go from there, and you probably have your own customizations. But yeah, that's the end goal. It's like the top level of the pyramid. First, we have to actually get everything else in place. But yes, that is the end goal.
Okay, great. And Pritesh, do you want to?
It's almost like these pre-built. Go for it. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah.
It's almost like a pre-built. I think there's a bit of a lag from my end. But yeah, it's almost like pre-built templates for our most popular connectors, and that's how we see it. Like David said, a user should be able to click on any sort of, whether it's a Google Ads or Facebook Ads connector, bring in that data, and we showcase them a very almost they would expect, but then naturally that would fit, say, 80% of that use case, and then to fit it, the final 20%, they may have to tweak something. But we want to get to that 80%. 80% is something that they can make from great to perfect. Is that final 20% that then they would the user would have to input something themselves, but we get them to that 80%, and that's what's really important for us. So yeah, definitely.
Well, I do have a question, and that's something that seems really interesting to me. Like if you, I don't know if you've ever used a platform like Go High Level, which it's kind of like a competitor to ClickFunnels, and it just does landing page builder and email and CRM and does a whole bunch of stuff. Really amazing platform. And the guy that made that is extremely smart. One of the things that he's done that's helped with the growth of Go High Level is first of all, it costs you $500 a month to get a subscription to Go High Level, and then you can create as many funnels and client sub accounts as you want. So it's really positioned at agency owners, people who are building websites for clients and customers. And one of the things that they do in there is allow you to create snapshots or templates of what you want to make available. So if you, let's say, have 100 insurance agents that work for you, you can just create that system that's perfect for an insurance agent. You click and you get a new one who's now going to pay you $100 a month. You click the go button, and now they've got everything set up and rolled out. So I know there's a lot of machinery involved in that, but man, that's kind of, I see that as a powerful way to go. Because let's say that you don't want to do all the thought work around the perfect Google Ads dashboard, as an example, but somebody has, and so now they can make that either shareable, or they can make that a paid thing that somebody pays for, and then you take a cut of that. So you might take a 10 or 15% cut of that transaction, but I think that would be a powerful way to go. Just a suggestion, but yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
So we have a query here. Maybe I have not been able to find them. However, are there tutorial videos? So Lauren, have you created any tutorial videos or anything which users can refer to and maybe do some quick learning?
Yeah, so Pritesh actually has done an end-to-end use case video, which we've shared on our community page. So if you head over to our community page, you can check that out. At the moment, we do want to start building a lot more for the current version of our tool so that when users are able to join, so when we go live, there'll be some videos available for you. So at the moment, we're kind of focusing on creating content for the new version of the tool, but we definitely have some videos on our Facebook page for the current version.
Okay. Okay, great. So hopefully that answers your question, Raj, again. I also want to give you some feedback. We had some users in our community who had mentioned there was some issue around certain connectors, and I know it's still in development, so probably you ironing out some of those issues around. And I think David had mentioned issues around integrating or working with Fivetran APIs and things of that nature. But some of the connectors were not working, and so have you? I think people had asked questions related to that in the AppSumo questions section, so you might want to check that out because there is some feedback around that you might want to address, right? So
Yeah,
okay.
definitely.
Okay. So okay. So
maybe I'll just say very briefly on that, actually. But
yeah.
Yes, we're aware of the issues. We're basically trying to we're fixing them where we can for the next 4 weeks, but really we had to work a lot with Fivetran because things weren't quite ready on their end.
Okay.
But those changes have all gone into version 2. So kind of my guarantee is that in version 2 these issues will be gone or basically non-existent. That's one of the reasons why we're kind of doing a separate version so we can properly fix these problems.
Got it. Okay.
Interesting.
Okay. So sorry if this was asked. How does the credit system work? I think I saw some explanation. Who is this question from? So this is from Joe. I think there was some explanation around, but maybe do you want to? Is it something simple? Can we touch base on, or should we just post a link around how the credit system? Is it a very complex system to explain?
No, it's not. It's
Okay.
we just did a really rubbish job of explaining it, and I think this just creates a lot of confusion. So it's our fault. But the short version is that the vast majority of the time you don't need to worry about credits because the only thing that matters is rows. So how much data is in the platform. We added credits because we added this sentiment analysis feature, which allows you to run text through and you can get the sentiment, which could be useful if, let's say, you have customer reviews and you want to know are people talking positively about different things or negatively. So like maybe like different products on a Shopify store or something. So the problem is that uses an external API that we have to pay for. So we couldn't just give you unlimited access to it because it would have, someone might have just done like a million rows of data and it would have cost us like loads of money. So we had to put a constraint on it, and that's why we added the credit system. So if you want to use a sentiment function, it consumes credits, but that is the only feature that uses credits right now. We plan to add more in the future, so it was kind of a proof of concept, and it's a nice feature, and it's if you want it can be a bit of a game changer if you do want to do sentiment analysis. And in the future, we want to add more enrichments, but yeah, and it's really simple. I mean, it's just 1 credit per row. So if you need to process 100 rows of data, it's 100 credits. It's really that simple for the sentiment feature. For anything else in the product, any kind of data processing, visualization, whatever, you don't. The only thing that matters is how much data is stored in the platform. Once it's in the platform, you can do whatever you want with it, which is very different, for example, for BigQuery, for example, where you have to constantly be worrying every single query is costing you money. No, Guyana, you just whatever data's in the platform, that's what you pay, and you can do everything else as much as you want. You don't have to worry about it. So I hope that helps a little bit, but I know it's been very confusing, and we're trying our best to clarify it.
Okay. So
Yes.
with one license, you got 1 million rows, which for most small businesses is going to be plenty. And if you can stack those, I'm guessing, can you stack those licenses and have a lot more?
Yeah, you can stack to 10 million. So our thinking was basically, 1 million rows is good for business. 10 million is like for running your agency. That's kind of how we thought about it.
And what happens if when you start going over those limits, and do you then have to upgrade to a paid subscription, and how does that work?
Yeah, how it works right now. Yeah.
Okay. In terms of the connectors, you got 20 connectors by default. You're going to be opening it up to all of them eventually, but it's obviously going to be a testing process and create the knowledge articles around that. Is there any additional cost involved in that for people who buy into the lifetime deal at the moment?
No. The only thing that matters is rows. That's it. Doesn't matter where it comes from.
Okay.
So you plan to basically make all the features available as you develop them to everybody who is going to purchase Gyana on AppSumo.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But and so because I mean typically companies have tiers, right? Like maybe you have an enterprise license, or like do you plan to have any features which won't be available for so
Yeah.
yeah.
So we don't plan to have tiers. We just plan to have the row-based system. So as your business grows, we like the idea that as your business succeeds, our business succeeds. That's the idea.
Right.
Rather than having a complex tier system, at least that's how it's built at the moment. We will probably we will do enterprise eventually. And I think, to be honest, there will be special features, but they're the kinds of things that no small company would ever care about, like single sign-on, like special single sign-on stuff, the kind of stuff that enterprises care about, the small businesses. But every feature that you would actually care and want, any like reasonable sized business would actually want, is going to be available to everyone if you've been on the AppSumo plan. There's no like pro and super pro or anything like that.
Got it. Thank you, David, for clarifying that, because that's one of the biggest concerns users have. So, and from what I'm seeing, I mean, already Gyana is a great platform, and that's why we are very selective in terms of who we want to bring into the community into a live stream as well. So, the reason we invited you and we've been talking to you is there is a lot of interest, and it is a very promising platform. We have not seen something like this being offered as a lifetime deal. So thanks.
Well, the closest that I've seen was OWOX BI. That was years ago. That was the closest kind of data science, data pipeline type of thing that came through. But no one really understood it. A whole bunch of people bought it, but they had no idea what they had.
What was it called?
OWOX BI. It's a Ukrainian company.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool.
I think, what is the difference between Gyana and Google Data Studio? We briefly touched on that, but maybe you want to cover it again so that people understand some of the basic differences.
Pritesh, do you want to take this one?
Our dashboards are what Google Data Studio is, and we're a bit more than dashboards. We have our entire data warehouse and the workflows. So, because of our 5-strand partnership, we create that data warehouse for everyone, all our users, and then with our workflows, we're basically replicating SQL, which people can create these transformations and workflows to get the output and data that they need to then go create a dashboard. And I guess that's the real difference between us and Google Data Studio. They mostly focus on that dashboard part, whereas we focus on more of the steps which require to get to that dashboard as well. So yeah, we're trying to cover this end-to-end entire data experience that someone would go through. So that's how I'd compare it to Google Data Studio.
Okay,
I think the aim with the dashboard. So I was going to add to that, the aim with our dashboards feature is basically we want to get to feature parity with Google Data Studio for all the basic stuff that you would expect, like all the different visualization types, the freeform canvas where you can drag widgets in, and like date slices and all that. And then I think the one thing we really want to do is just make it less slow. Like Google, it's just so slow. I don't know if anyone else has that experience, but like it's really slow and clunky, and it doesn't need to be. So we're really focusing on making it really fast and easy to use. Yeah, sorry. That's
Okay.
it.
Okay. And before we move on to the next question, which is an interesting one for sure, is anyone going to share their screen? Are we going to give a quick overview or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's where I come in. So
Okay.
I'm going to take you guys through both our current version of the tool, and then I'll give you an insight into our beta and show you what will be coming, hopefully, in the next few weeks.
Definitely. Not hopefully, definitely.
Definitely the next few
Start of
weeks.
September. And if you buy now, you can actually you can try it today actually, because we have a beta program for users.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, is everyone able to see my screen all right?
One sec. Not yet. But 1 second. Okay. Win. I'm just gonna assign the screen share to the place where you are, because I can't remove myself from the screen. But 1 second. What I'll do is, and then I'll bring you back. You'll still be on the call. Win, can you hear us? 1 second. Let me get this. Okay, I think everyone can see the screen. Win, sorry to do this to you. My apologies. But hopefully I can bring you back. Are you still on the call, Win? Okay. Well, I guess we can get started, Lauren. And oh yeah, he's still here. Okay. Okay. Great. All right. Yeah. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. So here you can see is our homepage, and this is what we've been talking about with regards to our end-to-end experience. So you start off with your data. So this is where you put together your data warehouse. This is where you can connect your various data sources together. And this is also the stage where you prepare your data. So any kind of evaluation, any kind of analysis that you want to perform, that want to create some insights and visualizations, and that's what happens at step 2 in insights. And then you then want to be able to share those insights, and that's where you can do that in the report stage. So I'm going to take you to the data stage first. So you have 2 different ways of getting data into the tool. So you have the upload data button, and that allows you to upload your Excel files. So your static data you can upload into Gyana. And we also have our connectors, which we've been talking in depth about quite a lot. This is where you're able to then connect all your various data sources together and create your own personal data warehouse within Guyana. So on the left-hand side, you can see this is where the files are kept. So these are the static files that have been uploaded. And then you can also see the connectors which have been connected as well. So if I quickly show you how our connectors are kind of added into the tool, once you connect your particular connector, it's synced into Gyana. You can unpause it. If for any reason you don't need any new data flowing in, you can pause it and then reenact it whenever you like. The sync happens about every 4 to 6 hours. That's kind of the time rate that we have at the moment. And you can always trigger a resync whenever you need to as well. We also have our schema. So when you connect to your data source, you have the option of importing all the information, or you can select the tables that are synced into Gyana. So say, for example, you don't need everything that's available to you within that particular data source. You can customize it to select the specific information that you want synced into the tool as well. So for this particular example that I want to take you through, I'll be utilizing data from an e-commerce brand. And essentially they want to understand their sales performance, but their information is covered across various data sources. So I'll just take you through to our tables section. So tables is essentially where you create your analysis. This is where you are able to really execute the no-code aspect of the tool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my local files, and I'm going to select the transaction and the product files. So this transaction is representing data, say, from Stripe, so all the transactional values of your products from your e-commerce store, and product represents your CRM information, so more background information about the departments and the brands of where those products are from. And what we want to do is that we want to combine...
I think the screen's frozen. Is the screen frozen? Is that true for everyone else?
Can you not see my screen?
I can see it. I think it's
stuck on this schema of Intercom.
Yeah, you might maybe just stop and reshare.
Yeah, you can stop and reshare.
Let me do that. Thanks.
Sorry.
That's okay. Sorry about this.
Yes.
Are you guys able to see the screen?
Yep.
Amazing. Okay, thanks for that. So what I did is I went to the table section. I can actually do that again. And I'm creating a new table, and this is where I'll be conducting my no-code analysis. And so what I did is I selected two different tables. So I selected transaction and product, one representing two different data sources. And I want to connect them so I can understand the sales performance for my e-commerce brand. So in order to join two data sets together, you need to have at least one column of common data. And so on the left-hand side here, each heading represents the column for each of the data sets. And the one that's common between the two is product ID. And so that's what I'm going to use to perform this join. And simply all I need to do is drag and drop this into this section. And then I click continue. And now I'm able to access the data from both of the data sets because they've now been joined together. And so, like I said, this e-commerce brand wants to understand the sales performance across their departments and brands. And so those are the columns I'm going to select from the data set. And I also want the departments and brands to be grouped as well. So I'm going to put them into the grouped section. And then I also want the sales values for the individual products. And so I'm going to select that and put this into the select section because I want each individual value. And so I'm just going to scroll down. And as I put the column headings into my new table, it's actually being created for me underneath. So as you can see, this is the new table that's being formed. I have my departments, which have been grouped. I have my brands, which have also been grouped. And then I also have my sales values. However, my sales values haven't been aggregated together. And I want to amend that. I want to make sure that each column and each row, has a single value. So now I can perform some function and some analysis to the data set. And next to each of our columns, you have a edit formula button. And essentially, these are the functions that you're able to apply to your data set. So as I mentioned before, if you have some knowledge of Excel or some knowledge of Google Sheets, you'll be able to recognize a lot of the functions that we have within the tool. But if you're not familiar, if you just single click any of the functions, they'll give you a brief description of what they do and how you can apply them. So for this particular example, I want to sum the values. And so I'm going to move that. I'm going to drag the sum function onto the column. And then I'm going to click back into the table section. And as you can see, that has applied that function to that column. And now I have a single value for each row of data. And so that is everything that I need for the analysis that I want to conduct. So I'm just going to quickly rename this table as sales performance. And I'm going to click on done, and that's now saved the table as a new table. And now I want to create some insights from there. So I'm going to just quickly select the drop down bar, and I want to create a bar chart. So, oops, there's a couple of pop-ups. Okay, nice. So now I have the table that I've just created. So the previous data sets have now disappeared, and I'm now left with the information that I need. And so this enables me to just quickly select the values that I need to create the chart. And so I want the department on the x-axis, and I want the sales value on the y-axis. And as I do that, the chart is automatically created for me underneath. I also want to represent the brand information within the chart as well. And so we have this function called color, which allows us to use color to add more detail and granularity to your data set. So I'm just going to drag the brand column into the color. And as you can see, it's now separated the brands by color for each column. So the purple color represents the national brand, and the green color represents the private brand. So say, for example, you just wanted to create some quick insights that you want to share internally within your team. You can actually download the chart at this stage, and you can share that across any kind of platform as well. But if you do want to create a report, you want to create something a bit more formal, something that will include various charts, that's the next stage. So I'm going to go into reports and go into notebook. There we go. And so now I have the notebook stage. And this is a really kind of WordPress-esque type of formatting. So you have different blocks where you can add various types of data. So I can choose the heading block. And so I'm going to create a heading of sales performance. And then on the left-hand side is where all of your insights live. So all the insights that you create and generate will be on the left. So in order to add them into your report, you simply just drag and drop it into the report, and it's there for you. Say, for example, I had multiple charts showcasing various sales performances or various insights for the sales department. I could drag and drop them into the reports, and then I could start adding text to then explain what's happening within the report. Once I'm happy with the report, simply click done, and that saves the report for me. And what I can do is I can export it as a PDF. So then again, you can share that internally or externally with clients if need be. So that's an example of essentially how you would do it end-to-end in the current tool. I'm going to quickly take you over to the beta version and showcase how that's done there as well. So when you get onto the home page for the beta version, this is what you'll see. The main kind of features that we wanted to introduce, particularly in the beta, is having a bit more organization of the data that you import into the tool. So as you saw previously, you had your one data section, and that's where you imported all of your information. Whereas with the 2.0, we're introducing the concept of having multiple teams. So you can utilize these as actual teams within your company or your business, or you can utilize them as different areas of the business, say, for example, marketing, sales, or you can also utilize them as different clients as well for agencies. Within each team, you have your projects. And so these projects are what you saw in the current version of the tool. This is where you have your end-to-end experience. This is where you add your integrations, you perform your analysis, and then you create and share your insights as well. So this allows there to be a bit more control of the data that you're utilizing. You have traceability of exactly where the data is being used and what it's being used for, so that there's less likelihood and less chance of cross-contamination of your data. So I'll just create a new team here. Call it Guyana 2. So that's how easy it is to create your team. You can see the members who are within your team. You can also invite other members into the team. Simply click on new invite and they'll get an email link that will add them into your team. And then settings is where you can also kind of rename your team and delete the team as well. So I'll start off by creating a new project. For this, I'm going to utilize the Facebook ads because I know that that's a use case that a lot of people will be familiar with. So I'm going to create a Facebook ads campaign project. And so this is the screen that it takes me to once I've created my project. And this is what you'd probably recognize from our current version of the tool. We have changed the names of our stages slightly. So for example, we now have integrations, which was previously known as our data stage, but within this stage it's pretty much the exact same. You have the ability to upload your static file, so your CSV file, and you also have the chance to introduce your data sources in here as well. For this particular example, I'm going to upload a CSV file. So I'm going to choose the file here. And so we also have this enable sync emails link. So essentially, this is most useful for data sources that you're syncing. And so whenever your data source is synced, you'll get an email notifying you that it's synced. But because this is a static file, I'm going to untick that for now. And I'm just going to click upload. And then after a few seconds, we should be good to go. And yeah. So this is now your overview of your integration that you've just added. So you can see when it was first created, the number of rows that you have, and who has created this. We've also introduced this reference table. Again, this gives you great visibility of exactly where your data has been used. So you can see the various workflows and various dashboards where your data set has been utilized. So if I go into these tabs at the top, so we have structure. This allows you to understand and have a quick view of the data type within your data set. So for each column, you're showing the type of data. At the moment, it's in kind of this terminology, but we will be updating this to a more simplified terminology. But essentially, it allows you to understand whether your column is being represented as a text or a number. So for example, you can see here that age has a string type, which essentially means it's being represented as text. But I'm aware of this. This is something that I'm aware of with the data set, so I'm happy with that. But say, for example, you were expecting it to be a number. That's something that you'd either go back to your original data source to look at, or you can just transform it later on within the workflow stage. So then we have data. So this allows you to have a quick preview of the data set. Again, just giving you the opportunity to check that you have uploaded the correct file. And then settings, where you can rename your integration, and you can also delete it here as well. So if I just go back to the main overview page, so now you can see our integration has successfully uploaded into Gyana. We can now start working on our workflows to do some analysis. So workflows is most comparable to our tables section within the tool. The main reason why we've chosen to go for a workflows design is that you can visually see each step that's been taken to your data set. So from it being in its rawest form to the analysis that you want to complete, you can see each step that's been taken in order to do that. So the first step within the workflow is get data. So each workflow starts off with the get data, and then it ends with save data, and each of these items here we call nodes. So we start with the get data node and end with the save data node, and in between is where we perform our analysis. So I'm just going to fetch the integration that we've just added, and as you can see, it's over here. Again, we have the option to save and preview to do another check to make sure we're working with the correct file. And once you're happy with that, you can save and close. You're also able to edit the heading of your node, again, just so that you have as much clarity as possible of what you're doing. So I can rename this to be Facebook ads dataset. And for this particular data set, I want to understand the conversion by age. And so in order to do that, there's certain columns that I want to work with. So I don't need every column within this data set. So I'm going to use the select column node, and simply I'm going to connect it to my data set. Then I'm going to go into to configure it. And so I want the age, the total conversion, and the approved conversion. Again, I can save and preview just to make sure that the correct columns have been selected, and they have. And so I can save and close that. And this is quite a simple workflow. That's actually all the analysis that I need to do for that particular data set. And so now I can actually save this data set by selecting the save data node, and I'll give it a brand new output name. So this is going to be conversion by age. And I'm just going to save and close that. I could quickly go through the rest of the nodes that we have that I haven't used. So I've used the select, join. This allows you to join two data sets together. So I did that previously with our current version of the tool. I joined two tables together. This is the exact same concept. So you would add another get data node of the second data set that you would like to join, and you would join them using this node here. Next, we have aggregation. This allows you to aggregate values within your column. You have union, which works exactly the same as join, except you can do it for more than two data sets. You have sort. This allows you to sort the columns within your data set. We have limit. This allows you to limit the number of rows that you're working with within your data set. We have filter, so you can apply specific filters to your data. And we have distinct, which allows you to select the unique values within the data set. And so when we spoke about kind of having a no-code SQL, a lot of essentially all of the tools that I've just gone through will allow you to perform any kind of SQL like query inside our workflow. Then we have more column-specific manipulations, so you can edit the values within your data set. You can add new columns to your data set as well. You can rename the columns. And we also have the formula node. And essentially this allows you to perform the functions that I utilized in the current tool. So when I did the drag and drop for the sum, this essentially will replicate that. So you would drag and drop this node into your workflow. You would select the formula that you would like to apply to it. And then you would continue on with your workflow. And so once you have your workflow completed, you can then run the workflow, and running the workflow essentially saves the entire flow together. So now that that's successfully run, I can go back to my workflows homepage, and you can see here the status has a tick, which means that the workflow has worked correctly. If for any reason there was a break in the flow, or one of the nodes wasn't updated correctly, or you didn't connect it correctly, this would come up with a warning sign to let you know how to amend that. So now we have our analyzed data. We now want to create some insights and to be able to share it. And this is what we can do here in the dashboard section. So when you create a brand new dashboard, you're shown a blank canvas. And within this canvas, you can add various widgets in order to create the insights that you would need. So previously you saw we had about 4 different types of charts that you could create, but now we've introduced about 14 different charts, and we're constantly increasing the different types of charts that you can create in the tool. But for this particular example, I'm going to use the column chart. So immediately the widget is added onto the canvas. And so now I need to configure it. So I'm going to edit the widget. So the first thing I need to do is select the data that I want to work with. So I could work directly from the integration that I uploaded. Say, for example, you have a data set that's completely clean and there's kind of no analysis you need to perform on it. You can directly create your insights from there. But for now, I'm going to use the workflow that we had just worked on. So we have label, which is essentially our x-axis, and I want that to be age. And we have values, so these are our y-axis values. And so I want both total conversion and I want approved conversion as well. Next to them, you have various ways of representing the data. So you could have the sum, the count, and various other statistical ways of representing the data. You have a sort by, so I could sort by the label, which is here, the x-axis, or I can sort it by the value. So the value, which is the y-axis, I need to sort it by the label. So I'm going to select that, and I want it to be in ascending order. So I'm just going to save and preview so I can check that I have the correct formatting. And yeah, this is exactly how I want to show my data. So I'm going to now save and close that.
Switch off the camera so I think we can get a better view, if that's okay.
Okay. Yeah, of course, no problem. Awesome. So as you can see, when I closed the configuration, I now have my chart in the dashboard. And if, for example, you needed to add any other kind of chart onto the dashboard, you can do so, and it will add it directly for you. You can configure the canvas as well. So if for any reason you needed it to look in a particular way, or you needed it a bit bigger or a bit smaller, you can customize it here with the dimensions. You also have the ability to share this externally. So if I click on share, it will pop up with a unique URL, which you can share with anyone. We will be introducing kind of the ability to have a password protected link as well, but at the moment it's open and you can just share it to whoever has the link. You have a duplicate button, which I've just clicked on there. So that allows you to duplicate your dashboard. Say, for example, you wanted to have the same charts, but you maybe wanted to then change the data source. You just simply go into table, change the data source, and you have the duplicated version of the chart. You also have different modes to see the data. So you can have it in view mode, which allows you to see it with just the charts themselves. And then you have edit mode, which then you can actually configure the charts. The reason for the 2 modes is because we have different admin access. So within your team, you can provide different members with different access, for example. And so if I go back to overview, that's essentially the end-to-end within the tool. And if I go back to the homepage, you can see that I've created this project. You can see the number of integrations, workflows, and dashboards. And yeah, that's essentially the end of the demo.
That's great, Lauren. Thank you for giving a very nice overview. I'm gonna bring it back to here. 1 second. Win, I hope you're back. Win, are you there? Oh, it's. I hope he's back. Yeah, let me see. Oh, perfect. Remove from green room. Okay, there we go.
There we go.
And now you're back. Okay, there you go. All right. Okay, so Vin, I hope you didn't miss that demo. That was really good overview. And Lauren, great job. I mean,
I watched it all.
Sure,
Yeah.
there is a lot of questions, and a platform as powerful as Gyana is going to take some learning curve. It's not going to be that easy as easy as you made it sound, probably, right? But yeah, I mean, I hope the people did get a good idea of how powerful it is. So, Wayne, do you have any questions? And then we can get a few more from the folks. I think we've been on for an hour and a half. So maybe want to close it in some time. You still okay for some more time, David, Pritesh, Lauren?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So I saw a few chart types there. Is there a cohort analysis type of chart? You know, those kind of like pyramid looking charts in there?
Yeah, so we do have a pyramid chart. We also have a funnel chart. Hello?
Yeah, you're still here, Lauren. Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
I think driving with a heat.
Cool. That's
map.
cool.
Because you mean like those
and is that
like
workflow
months
tool available
cohort
in the current
week
version?
by week?
Sorry, I must have just spoken. Carry on, David. Sorry, just ignore me and just talk straight over me because I think we've got some lag going on. So just continue.
Oh no! All I was saying is that I think by cohort, I think I'm imagining like those diagrams you get in Google Analytics, where down here you have each week is a cohort, and then you see like for each week how many people were still on the platform. So I think you would use we have a heat map plot, which you could plot on that. I believe that's how you would do it.
Okay.
Okay, cool. That makes sense.
So can you talk about some real use cases?
Oh, that makes sense. I think like we need.
Go ahead, David.
No. I think that there's a lag, but yeah, let's talk about real use cases.
Yeah, some real use cases and how have your users benefited. So.
I don't know if Lorraine or Pritesh, you want to take this?
Is there quite a lag or Lauren?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Lauren, clearly. What about Pritesh? Pritesh, can you hear us?
Lost.
Can I hear you guys now?
Yeah.
Okay.
1 second.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Yes, perfect. Okay.
Pritesh, do you maybe, or Lorraine, do you want to answer the question? I think you're speaking to users more frequently. You have some great stories.
Yeah, definitely. So as we've mentioned, a lot of marketing agencies are attracted to Guyana specifically because they want to be able to combine a lot of their social analytics together. So a lot of people mentioned Google Data Studio, but I believe Google Data Studio is quite specific to kind of the Google tools and the data sources you can connect to. Whereas with Gyana, you have the ability to kind of connect all of your social media tools, so Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, and then you can also link it directly to your CRM. So you can have that direct link and analysis of your social media insights with customers and with users as well. So that's been a real key kind of takeaway from Guyana for a lot of marketing agencies, is that they're able to have that single source of truth, and they don't have to kind of have multiple dashboards and have multiple sources of data for one user or one customer, for example. That's kind of been the biggest use case that we've had for the tool.
Another use case that I probably shine a light on as well is a lot of companies have an in-house database, and to access that database, either you talk to the data team or an engineer to get some data from that database. But with Gyana, you don't need to know SQL. You can just connect that database to the warehouse and start querying it really simply. So that's another really powerful feature or use case that we've seen, and that's how personally I use Gyana quite a lot as well to query our internal database.
I think, and there are just lots. One of the nice things about doing this is that our users come to us with such great use cases that we didn't expect. That's a nice thing about building a no-code tool. Like another example is if you do email marketing and you want to build segments, so you can use our workflows feature to create scores, filter users into different groups, segment them, download that as a CSV, and then upload it into whatever email marketing tool you use. So that we have a couple of founders who are using it to bootstrap their business to, as an email marketing tool, basically. Which is one of the reasons why it would be nice to be able to directly connect into things like HubSpot. We don't do that yet, like pushing the data back into HubSpot.
And David, to your point, in that particular case, when it comes to use cases, so you can get historical data into Gyana. What about real-time data? Like, so say, for example, I want to make a decision based on what's happening now in my environment, and I want to collect some metrics. So what's what are the plans for any type of real-time data? Would there be any analytics which can be done on data which can be not exactly real-time, but you can say near real-time kind of things?
Yeah. My probably the end goal for us is to be near real-time. So not down to the minute. It's just not possible because like the data, the places that you're fetching data from, they don't expose their data in a way that would support like true real time, which is annoying, but it is what it is. You have to kind of, what Fivetran is doing is kind of very clumsily fetching data via their APIs. And I think at some point in the future, and I'm kind of making this up, but like I feel like at some point in the future, somebody's going to, maybe it'll be us, will come up with like some kind of standard way of sharing data, which isn't because APIs are a very clunky way, maybe like a more direct way where you can just literally fetch data and just from like Stripe or Facebook ads or whatever. The problem is that people like all these companies are incentivized not to share their data, but hopefully that will be the future. But until then, we're kind of limited to near real time. I think the target would be like everything within the last hour. Let's say everything's up to date within the last hour.
Yeah, because I mean, in terms of like, there might be other use cases coming from, like a contact center background. What we want to see in terms of data analytics, in particular, is basically, like data where you get real-time information insight, and then you can use that information for things like wallboards or dashboards within the contact center environment. So the contact center managers, supervisors, they can look at the data, see how busy their environment is. If they need to schedule more agents, do they need to move agents from inbound to outbound or from outbound to inbound, and so on, right? So you can get a lot of insight, and you need a lot of insight into what's happening in real time. Do you envision something like that which can happen with Gyana in future?
I mean, so how real time does it need to be? Are we talking like the last 10 minutes or something?
I would say it lasts 2 minutes, 5 minutes. I'm just giving it to you as an example. I'm sure there are other use cases for it, but
I mean, I think clearly that's obviously really valuable, and so it is the end goal. So I think that is the end goal for us. We want to achieve it. I just know that there are like big technical challenges why it'll take us time to do. But of course, that's what I would, because I told you right at the beginning that I think we are held back as businesses, as almost as a world, because we don't have timely access to high quality data and good tools to do it. And clearly, if the data is really fresh, that helps you, because then you can start to think about real time decision making, real situational awareness, rather than waiting every day to get yesterday's data. So that's definitely the end goal for us. I think, like, just to put some realistic timeframes, it's like within the last hour is something we can realistically achieve this year, maybe early next year. Whereas in the last like 2 minutes we're talking like maybe a couple of years, because of the kind of issues that I was alluding to. Yeah,
makes sense. Absolutely. Yeah, and probably cost wise as well, it's a huge factor, right? For sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's just technical feasibility, because I don't want to go too technical in this, but like in the data community, you've basically got this distinction between streaming technologies and kind of batch processing technologies. Yes. And a crossover point is like an hour, right? And there are like technologies that are trying to unify, it's like Google Cloud Data Flow, but it's just much harder to do well. Like BigQuery, for example, the state of the art for what people are doing with BigQuery using technologies like dbt and stuff is not real time. It's just not possible with BigQuery. It's designed to be like every few hours you run the jobs and everything updates. That's the state of the art. So if you really want real time, you have to invest in an entirely new technology stack. But what I like, what the whole point about Gyana is that we will solve that problem for you, and then we will make the product better, and you won't even have to think about it. But we will have done the hard work of solving that problem. So that's why I would like us to do that, and can keep innovating and keep making sure those innovations are, improving your experience of our tool. Yeah.
Question there, Nilesh.
Yeah.
I see a big challenge for you guys anyway of getting people to use the tool more would be to some kind of training resource site where you're engaging with people. A tool like this is immensely powerful, but the average user is going to need a bit of a platform where they can kind of like interact with you and your team and ask questions about how to do this, that, and the other, and then have that those resources available, whether that's on something like what's that forum software that everyone uses now, Discord or something like that.
Yeah, Discord. Yeah.
Is it Discord? Yeah. Yeah. Do you have anything like that, or do you have anything like that planned?
Hello. Are we still live?
Lorraine, did you hear me?
Looks like everyone's frozen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. I think there's some,
yeah.
There's some issue on the Facebook.
Sorry,
yeah, you're still here. You're still here. You're still here.
Yeah. So.
Yes.
Oh, hello. Oh, sorry. I can see that it's lagging. I'm not going to look at the screen. So yeah, with regards to support and documentation and training, that is definitely something that we are working towards. So at the moment, we have three kind of channels where users can interact with us. We have the community on the Facebook group. We have Intercom, where they can live chat with myself and Pritesh. And we also have our email. So those are the three kind of forms of discussions that we have at the moment. But a more kind of broader forum, a more broader discussion forum is definitely the direction that we're heading towards, specifically when we do launch the 2.0 and we start to increase kind of the features that are available. We want to introduce kind of more machine learning and AI kind of features, which will definitely need our support from ourselves for the users. So we definitely are looking to expand and broaden our reach with regards to supporting the users to enable them to successfully use the tool. And I don't know if we mentioned this previously, but we do want to introduce things like templates. We want to introduce more tutorial videos, training videos, use case videos, that type of content as well.
That's great. So you talked about tons of new features and exciting features like machine learning and AI. So have you been? Have they already been in beta? Have you been?
Sorry, did you ask if they're already in beta?
Yeah. I mean, is this
Oh,
something
okay.
which you plan to launch like in the near future, or?
So at the moment, our AI tools focus around sentiment analysis. We have sentiment analysis in our current version of the tool, and that will also be available in the beta version of the tool. At the moment, we are focusing kind of getting the core basic functionality of the tool going. But once we have that up and running, we're definitely looking to introduce more complex functions into the tool. So I think regression analysis is something that we want to introduce in the short-term future. We want to do more predictive analysis in the tool as well. So these are definitely features that will be coming soon into the tool.
Okay. And we have a comment here from user. CNAME for sharing links would be great. Kind of important for agencies. So do you have like a public roadmap or feature request where users can go and request these things, or like have you? Would you mind sharing that, Lauren, in our community as well, where we can, direct the users to go and share some of these features they're requesting and maybe prioritize based on vote count and things.
Definitely. So Pritesh actually has created that for us. So we actually have a space where you can go in and upvote particular features and also kind of add your own particular feature requests. So I'll be happy to share that with you at the end of the call.
Okay, great. Okay, and we have still tons of interest.
And just regarding the CNAME, it's been asked quite a lot, so we're definitely. Sorry, I'm lagging way behind.
That's fine. You might want to drop off and join back in again, Pritesh. That's fine too. Sometimes it will work out better actually.
Is that lagging? Is that to do with Facebook, Nilesh?
Yeah.
Streaming this through?
Yeah. There you go. Welcome back. Okay. All right, Pritesh. Yes.
Yeah, I think this is much better. Oh, I think so. But yeah, just regarding CNAME, it's been asked quite a lot, so it's definitely high up in there in our priority list. Yeah, so definitely we will implement that.
Okay. And then we have a few more comments here. Perhaps having templates of the most popular workflows so that users can have a quick start and see it working. That would help them start developing their own. That's from a comment from Felipe. Felipe, thanks for that comment here. So maybe it's something for you to take away. And then we have.
I think Lorraine was saying that you guys are doing that I think I heard you mention that previously. Yeah. One question for you. Oh, sorry, carry on, Nilesh.
No, you go first.
I was going to talk about potential partnerships for agencies that want to not just use your product, but to use it in an enterprise level with enterprise scale customers. Is obviously this is a product that you're wanting to target at businesses of all sizes, but there is a certain segment of our group that will be interested in doing something like that. Is that something you've given some thought to, David?
Like having a partner program.
Like yeah. Oh no, we think it's going to be really, really positive possibility, and it's one of the reasons why we're really. And it's also something that so many of our early users have suggested and have been pushing for, because they're like, this is great, and I want to go and give it to other people, and can we kind of make that work for both of us? And we'd love to do that. So yes, I think it will be very powerful.
I'm not just talking about affiliate referrals, but actual more kind of like
a channel program, kind of a partner.
Yeah, like more like the stuff that you do with Cisco and that type of thing.
Yeah, like a channel model, how some of these software companies sell through a channel model, right? Like they would have their partners, they would position them, partners would be trained to implement, train, deliver, optimize, and add more value to that customer, right? So
that's what I mean. Yeah, exactly. I think it's a very good idea for us, because if you look at other no-code tools like Webflow or Bubble, I think one of their main user groups is actually software agencies, because it makes them really productive. And so you have a lot of agencies who say, like, we build with Webflow, and that's like a positive thing, because it's a tool that but they become experts with it. So I think if you're using Gyana and you think it works really well for you, we'd like to make that relationship kind of more concrete. And then you'd have a tool you could deliver your solution for your end customer with, and then also they would know what Gyana is too, so they could use it as well. Am I understanding you right? Yeah. Maybe I'm not getting.
You are.
You're right.
Absolutely right. Yeah.
I see there's a powerful feedback loop there. I know that. Check out Wicked Reports. They've recently done this. So Wicked Reports is they do a fraction of what you're doing, but they do it very well, and they specifically targeted at marketers. But one of the things that I thought was clever that they've just done is they've come out with a certification program. So you can go through their training, and then you actually have to pay a fee to do that certification, but then you become listed as one of their preferred suppliers.
Yes.
And there's that whole relationship, and it's really smart. It's really, really smart.
Yeah, I think that would work very well, and we'd love to talk to people about doing that. You're like Gyana certified, right? That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
As for the reports, can you change the scale of either the X or Y axis for the bar chart? Earlier, the bar chart was quite small. Can they be scaled vertically or horizontally if needed?
Yeah, so the widgets that you upload onto your dashboard, they're resizable. So you can essentially resize the chart to suit yourself. If you wanted it to be the entire dashboard, you could do that if you wanted to. So yeah, you have the ability to do that.
Okay, thanks a lot, Felipe. That hopefully answers your question. Thanks, Lauren, for answering that. We have one comment here. Maybe that Gyana support chat display or visual reply time is under 1 week. So maybe I'm not sure. You might want to look into it.
I just checked this. So we had a bad couple of weeks recently. We all got COVID.
Yeah.
Which is I do not recommend. Lorraine and I both got it. I think Pritesh was spared, but a lot of other people don't. So we kind of were struggling to just keep the business going, and we didn't manage to respond to people, which we should have done better. It was just a tough few weeks. Like I was just in bed for like 2 weeks. So So now it looks like Intercom is now punishing for us for that by saying that we only respond within a week. So I think we'll that. It's like Intercom.
Thanks, Intercom. Thanks for that.
Telling us
great one, Intercom.
But no, we otherwise, we respond on the same day. As long as it's a working day, we can respond on the same day. So don't worry, we are active.
Okay, great. So Joe, hopefully that answers your query. I think we've covered a lot of questions. I mean, there is a lot of other comments, so thank you for commented. We can't really show every single comment here, but I appreciate the participation nonetheless from everybody who's watching live and commented. And, thank you so much. Yes,
so
go ahead.
Just before you round off,
go ahead.
I think it's really important to make it clear to everyone, David and his team, they are supporting this product, and when you just got hit by COVID, which they've had a pretty hard period of in the UK, it's going to make life hard. So I read a few negative comments in the AppSumo reviews, and it's good that David brought that up now, because I think that's really, to be clear, when you've just gone through this, and also you've just launched on AppSumo, and I think there was another third factor there as well. You guys are working through some of the issues with Fivetran with the connections. So yeah, I think that's really important to raise that and give people that confidence, that context around what's happened.
Absolutely. I mean, you can't judge a product based on a certain event. Like, I mean, this is just unfortunate thing with COVID, right? But I mean, you can see the power of Gyana from the demo which Lorraine gave us, and then you can get to explore it a lot more. Of course, there are certain issues when you're especially when you're working with any type of ETL, and Fivetran is a very, very solid vendor. So great choice there, David, in terms of your ETL vendor. So some of the things, once you iron out, I'm pretty sure Gyana is going to be rock solid as well. I mean, and you seem to be adding a lot more features. Great team. So anybody who's watching it live, I would personally highly recommend it. What do you think, Win? What's your?
Well, it's given me a dilemma, because like I said, this is an area that I'm doing a lot of work in at the moment. So I'm both excited, but also now I think I'm feeling the need to get on board with the Guyana, at least a few licenses, because I think if you guys knock it out, like I think you're going to do a good job. Then I think that Gyana, you can't ignore this. Like if we hadn't had this conversation today, I'd be telling people, set up Google Analytics properly, get your data into BigQuery, Data Studio. That's the conversation that I've been having up until this point. So, and if you want to get your connections going right, then Supermetrics, So, it was funny that you kind of raised all of those words at the very beginning, because that's the very conversations that I've been having with people up until this point. So, I think that anyone who's listening to this, it depends on your use case, of course, but I think that Gyana, what Gyana's making available here is really, really, really valuable. I don't know how to say that without putting hype on it, but it's a very important tool that I think people are probably going to underestimate, and they're probably going to miss the value of, unless they spend a good amount of time, watching this video, but also going and I wish there was a few more knowledge-based articles on your website, but maybe if they join your group and start going through the videos that you've got up on YouTube and stuff. I just think this is really, really important, and you guys really need to pay attention to this, because over the next year or two, you're going to find out that your data is going to get harder and harder to get, especially if you've been relying on Facebook pixels and Google pixels and Google Analytics. Yes, Google Analytics is still valuable, but you're going to have to do a better job of collecting data and connecting data together, and then extracting meaningful insights out of it. And so I think Gyana makes it relatively easy from what we've seen today. So yeah, that's my answer.
Okay, great. So any closing comments, Pritesh, Lauren, David, and then we can close this off. I think we're almost 2 hours. So it's 1 p.m. EST here. Not a problem for me, but I guess it's evening. And Lauren, I see you.
Okay, so hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not too bad for us. It's about 6 p.m. at the moment, so we're pretty good. I'm worried about Wayne. He mentioned it was early hours in the morning where he is.
Okay, so David, do you want to close it off with anything for anybody who's watching it, who's going to watch the replay? What's your advice, and then we can close it off. Cool.
Yeah, I don't have much time. We've covered so much. I don't know what would be left, but I guess what I would say is, this is a long-term journey that we're on, and if you join us, if you do decide to purchase an AppSumo code, and you're basically making a decision to come on this journey with us and to kind of see where we go. We've got a fantastic community. It's a really nice place to engage with other people who are interested in data analytics, to learn from them. Lots of cool stuff is happening there, so I definitely recommend you join that as well. And thank you for having us on. It's really been great to speak, and it's always just good to hear other people. You do a startup thing, people say that what you're doing makes sense, but somehow you're always doubting yourself. So just coming on and just listening to you win, talk about your experiences and how it resonates, I think that's really, really nice to hear. So I just really enjoyed that.
Not neat.
Thank you.
That's great.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, David. Thank you, Pritesh. Thank you, Lauren. We really enjoyed it, and we're going to enjoy it a lot more as we use Gyana and interact with you. So we are going to join your community as well. So thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you for bringing such a fantastic product on AppSumo and making this available at such at a great price, right? So this is definitely something which is a mid-market enterprise towards, like, at least it has that capabilities. As you add more features, will even get better. So thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much, guys. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you so much, guys.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.